Shalom Aleichem and welcome to Online Smicha. In this week's Parsha, Parshas Pנחas, we again come to a situation which has an interesting ending to it. A situation that happens in front of Klal Yisrael, and Moshe Rabbeinu is kavayachol lost. He doesn't know how to respond. Somebody else comes into the picture and tries to help out. A couple of weeks ago in Parshas Pנחas, in Parshas Balak, there was a story with Zimri, and they came to ask Moshe what to do. Moshe lost Nis'alma Mimenu Ha'alacha, and Pנחas took matters in his own hands. And this week's Parsha, Parshas Pנחas, we have the story that the Bnei Tzlofchod came along with a claim that our father didn't have sons. Why should we not have any rights to Eretz Yisrael? Again, Moshe Rabbeinu sort of lost the answer, what to give them, and he had to tell them to wait, and got the answer from Hashem. What is unique about these two stories, that the great Moshe Rabbeinu sort of was lost how to answer these two problems? So the Rebbe explains in Lekutei Sichos Chelik Yud Gimel, the Rebbe explains a phenomenal answer. And to give a little spice to the answer, I'll tell you a story. There's a very famous story about one of the Poskim, that's one of the commentaries on the Shulchan Aruch Choshe Mishpat. And that is the famous Smeh, the Sefer Me'iras Einayim. He also wrote the Prisha, the Drisha on the Tur, one of the main Poskim you learn when you learn Shulchan Aruch. So the story is told about the Smeh once when he printed one of his Svarim. So, and it was about the time to pick up the Sefer, the Svarim that were printed, and a dispute came about between him and the printer, something about the payment. Somebody wasn't happy or whatever it was, and there was a dispute between the Smeh, this halachic authority, and the printer, how to settle this dispute. So they made up, they'll go to a Din Torah. Like two from a Yidden, they're going to a Din Torah. But the printer wasn't stupid. The printer knew that if he goes to a Din Torah against the Smeh, the famous Rav, he's going to lose. So to make it fair, they went to a different city. They made up they'll go to a different city, to a place where nobody knows who the Smeh is, so it should be a fair trial. So they came to that other city. And had this Din Torah, and the Rav paskined, heard the two sides of the case, and he paskined against the Smeh. So the Smeh, not knowing who he was. Now the Smeh didn't really believe that things will be, obviously when you're dealing with Dayanim, those who are suitable to be Dayanim, wherever they may be, in a big city, a Fruma Yiddish city, they won't be bribed, they won't take sides, and nobody would. But that's what made his opponent, the printer, happy. He was willing to accept their offer, and they went somewhere else. And the other person, the other Dayan from the other small city, actually paskin against him. So the Smeh turns to this Dayan and says, "Please tell me, what is the source of your verdict? Why are you paskening against me?" She says, "I'll tell you the truth. This is a case, your dispute is an interesting case, but lately there was a sefer printed by somebody, comments on the Shulchan Aruch, and this case is discussed in that sefer, and based on what he writes there, I knew that in your situation, you're guilty, or you lose the case." It turns out that the sefer that he was quoting was the Smeh's sefer. But the Smeh, being involved in his own case, didn't even realize, was blinded, kvayachol, the situation that it's occurring with him, he didn't realize he was wrong. So when a situation, you are deeply involved in a situation, sometimes you don't see it clearly. That's the beautiful story. And we actually have a Gemara also. The Gemara says that when it came to decide if the following year should be a leap year or not, the Chachamim would sit together, the Ziknei Yisrael would sit together and discuss it when you should make an Iber Hashanah, when not. But it says clearly there are two leaders that should not be involved in that decision. Who are the two leaders? The Melech and the Kohen Gadol. Why? You'll be shocked. The Melech is because, as great as he may be, but he has a personal interest in not having Ibur Hashana. Because when he pays salaries, he pays them per month. And he doesn't want to have an extra month of the year that's an extra month salary. He pays them, and it's going to cost him more. The Kohen Gadol, who you would think is such a righteous Halakha mensch, he can't be involved in that decision also. Because for him, if you make an extra month in Adar, the following Yom Kippur is going to be closer into the depth of the winter. It's going to be very cold for him during this service. So he has a personal interest not to have Ibayar. So these great people, when there is a personal interest in a decision to be made, we don't want them to be part of it. Says the Rebbe, use this logic. This is exactly why when these two cases, the case of Bnei Tzlofchod came in front of Moshe, and the case of Zimri, the case of Pנחs came in front of Moshe, Moshe couldn't answer. Each one of these two cases, Moshe was personally involved. By the case of Zimri, there was a challenge against Moshe. Moshe, I can't marry a Midyanis, and who are you married to? So it was a personal thing against Moshe. Whatever Moshe would have said would have been bad. So Nis'alma mimenu halacha. Somebody else had to step up to the plate. The same is by the Bnei Tzlofchod. They introduced themselves to Moshe Rabbeinu saying, our father died, but you should know he did not die because he was part of Kairach that stood up against you. Those words that you started to quote-unquote bribe Moshe, that they had a natural death or whatever, it wasn't because of Kairach, we're one of you, that automatically puts Moshe involved in that situation. And because Moshe becomes involved in these halachas, he has to get out of the case, and therefore Nis'alma mimenu halacha, he couldn't decide this. We had to get a special, either Pנחs or a special Hira Milmaila, what to do with Bnei Tzlofchod.